This is Tim Roy, and you're listening to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
They're all gone now, Goo. They're all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are you speaking about?
My kids.
Oh, Steiny.
They're all gone now.
And
They're
you
all
just think
gone.
about what? They'll be back for Thanksgiving.
Not all of them.
Oh, man. I'm hugging you from over here. I'm about to do it next week, man.
I got one who works in Washington, D.C. I got another now who works in London. The youngest now attending college in New Orleans. Your boy goes back to Oakland today. You'll walk in the front door. House is going to be empty.
Wow, man.
Just
I
like
feel for you.
Just like Steph's supporting cast. Just empty.
We don't know yet. You know the worst part about that?
Goo,
Yeah. Go ahead. It's your moment.
The dog doesn't even get as excited to see me anymore
Rosie?
because the dog knows there are people missing.
Man.
Parents, look, it's pretty simple.
go ahead.
Don't
Let
let
me
your
shut
kids
up.
go to college.
But now you got to watch the news to be concerned about what jumps and pops off in D.C., in London, when they're at home in your little nest, it's the neighborhood and their schools. But that part about it is nerve-wracking. Like, I'm like, North Carolina, I'm checking, like you never know. And now you got to do that 4 times over.
But less happens in Greensboro than in Oakland.
You never know.
No, you never know.
Yeah.
But on balance, and speaking
I'm
of
hugging
balance,
you from over here, man. Forget sports for a moment.
I'm going to be hugging
that
you
was
next
heavy.
week.
Well, you won't see me. That's
Well,
what
the
you'll
week after, I'm going to be
you'll
hugging
happy.
you.
You would
Because you
have
got to do the same thing.
But I've done it, so I'm kind of used to it. Man, Steiny, nobody at the crib?
Nobody. Except the dog.
You should rent a room out. Nah, you don't want that. You could do it. Get a little chicken.
Anyway, it's a sad day.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm just a little down.
I'm here for you.
Even though Curry put on a show. What a show he put on.
What does it mean, though, right, partner? It ain't his fault. It ain't my fault.
What does it mean?
No limit. It's got to follow on top of his cryptic comments that we talked about on this station, not just our show, everybody, when he basically was letting them know bottom feeding ain't good enough. So whatever the Warrior season is going to be this year, people, it better not equate to bottom feeders, because this man who still has a lot left, you got to appease him. And you got to appease him by getting him some talent. And you know what?
Couldn't you appease him by trading him to a team?
Well,
with
that's
a star?
worst case scenario. We don't want that. We're trying to, that little exercise you did where Ant and Cat or Ant and whoever.
I didn't even mention them. It's a good call.
It's really bothering me that we can't do it with the Warriors.
Why aren't you mad at Clay? Because he was a number 2 and he fell off.
He got hurt. He didn't fall off. He had 2 catastrophic injuries. Shout out to my Dr. Joe Jolly.
Why don't you get mad at Wiggins? He was the number 2.
I can get mad. We can, Who went to get him?
What?
Who went to get Wiggins? He didn't force himself on us. They went and got him.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
But you know what I mean. Wiggins got to have a bounce back this year, man.
Come to think of it, there are a lot of parallels between Steph Curry and myself. Me walking into an empty house, we both need a little help right now.
No, it's real, man.
I'm
here for you.
I need a number 2, just like Steph.
I'm your number 1.
Yeah. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin's in San Francisco.
K-Dot.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm very happy that you finally let me get a word in, and I'm listening to you, and you're trying to throw me out. But let me get back to the Warriors and Mr. Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So my thing is this. The way the Warriors can make it back is Draymond Green. How many games did Draymond Green miss last year? 27?
Something like that, yeah.
Was it 27? Yeah. And if we would have won, if he'd have stayed those 27, and we would have won half of those games,
Go ahead.
we'd have been there in 60 games.
Yep.
Wouldn't we? We'd have been there in 60.
Well, they didn't go
so
0-27 in those games.
The key is Draymond Green.
Uh-oh.
We done created a monster with him.
Yep.
But don't forget, when we won the championship, we played that boy, that big old boy from Denver. Draymond was all over his butt. Draymond is the key, but yet he got the nerve to say, I ain't going to just make it to the playoffs. Draymond is the key. He can push these guys. When we won the championship and he got sent out for a game, what did he tell the center? He said, I want you to get at least 15. Homeboy got 22 rebounds. Draymond is the key. He's either our Achilles heel or he's the one to take us to the championship to help Steph, because he knows how to feed the ball to everybody. It is Draymond Green is the key. And that's my thing. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Kevin. And I don't like that one bit.
It's risque.
I don't like that one
he's
bit.
Spot on. We've all said it, but I wanted you to jump in and get him like, what makes you think he's going to change? Like, I'm really like, he's not going to be suspended this year for more than 5 games.
Tony. Only 5. By the way, if you missed 27 games, they didn't go 0-27.
But give us 7 wins out of those 27 of the losses.
I'm sure they won like 12 of them.
Yeah.
12 and 15 or something like that.
Well, if the 15 were 11 losses, that's 4 more wins on the ledger. Bang, bang, no playing.
Okay, well then quit asking for a number 2. What is it?
Well,
quit asking for a number 2 if you're a 54-win team.
A scoring number 2.
Oh.
Somebody that can, put up points.
I got you. Yeah, let's just take some call. Can somebody help me here? Evan, let me go to you on this. And just first, go ahead. From the Xfinity Mobile text line, 415, I tuned in today thinking we'd talk about and celebrate Curry's golden achievement at the Olympics.
Yes, that's what we've done.
But all I hear is the doom and gloom of the upcoming Warrior season. Let's stop and embrace this moment, the greatness of Steph, because we won't have too many more moments like this. Can I ask a question?
And don't be negative. That ending was negative.
I'm being dead serious. Okay. For the next 2 hours, let's celebrate Steph Curry. Like, what does that look like? I'll tell you what, this guy's one of the greatest players of all time. Okay? That hasn't changed. I'll tell you what, this guy, that might have been his crowning achievement.
We've done that for 2 hours, and we could keep doing it.
Like, what?
Are you not hearing?
What does celebrating Steph Curry mean to you? Well, in the context of 95-7 the game.
Well, I think celebrating Steph has become, I don't want this to come off sounding wrong, but a harder thing to do throughout the years because he continues to just defy, everything in basketball, right? I mean, every time you think that he's done doing things like this or done having moments like this, he just does it. So celebrating Steph, should we just go down the list of accomplishments?
We can.
Just run down his resume? Because it's unmatched outside of maybe the 2 guys that he had a chance to play alongside in Durant and LeBron. And he's maybe more accomplished than both of them, depending on who you ask. So, I don't know.
And what have you heard that was negative?
Well, I saw a stat out there that he's the only player that scored 35-plus in an NCAA tournament game and an Olympic game. So, literally throughout his entire life in these do-or-die games, he's never not risen to the occasion.
Right.
So, I don't know what you want. You love the moment, but that also, the last comment from the text makes me think too. So every time he has a big game this upcoming regular season, we're supposed to just stop the show and talk about how great he is. Well, if the Warriors are a 500 basketball team,
No, their fear was there's not going to be any more great moments. That's how he or she ended that text. And I'm like, that's -1.
We don't have too many more moments like this.
Yeah, but we've been on 2 hours, and we talked about where does this rank, how great, and how can we keep this thing going from a Warrior perspective. That's not negative. I'll tell you when we're negative.
But I think that the reason why it's so special in these moments are just revered is because, you don't know how many of them there are left. And I don't think that's negative. I think that's human. You wonder how many more times he's able to do something like that. That's why we watch the games. It's because you don't know when he's going to have those kind of performances, and he seemingly is able to do it more often than not.
Yeah, I mean,
Just give him a little help, Evan. Just a little help. Brother need a little help.
I guess maybe that's negative.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not saying.
I got you.
But, to me, what he did on Saturday, it's right up there with winning the fourth title.
And what he did against Serbia, Steiny, this was 2 days, 17 to 27, 63% from three.
Exactly. So we can rank them if we want. Listen, I said it. I think that you could make a case that Steph was more clutch in the last two games than at any other time in his career. But you say that and it feels like you're diminishing what he's done in the NBA.
Not at all.
I'm just looking at those games, and when you are a big favorite and you are on the brink of losing, to me, that's more pressure than just about any other type of game you can imagine.
Facts.
Heavy favorites, you're down, now the pressure's on, and he came through. So I absolutely put those two performances up there with some of his greatest performances of all time.
But when he's a Warrior, Steiny, you guys allow me, Evan, if this fits. I feel like he had the pressure of Steve Kerr, LeBron, AD, every other great player or future Hall of Famer that was on that roster. Steph kind of saved them from the ridicule that was coming their way, even as coach. And that makes it more pressure to me, times 100.
That's why.
And that's why you see all the exuberance from KD and all his teammates like Anthony Edwards. What did he tell him in the video? I don't know if you saw it. It was on IG, Snotty. Anthony Edwards, minutes after it's over, is doing a video with his guy that closed it, says, you just showed up a couple days ago. Like, I love that. Like, and Steph's laughing like, you're right, but I showed up big.
Let's go to Bill in Mountain View. Hey, Bill, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. Steiny, I feel your pain about the emptiness. That's a tough week or so as an adjustment there.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just say I watched the end of the Serbia game. I watched the end of the France game. It was a pleasure to watch Durant play. It was a pleasure to see him make that really tough shot when they really needed that basket against Serbia. It was a pleasure to watch Curry play, especially at the end of the France game, obviously. And the other thing I'll say is that it was a pleasure to do that and not have to even think about Green. And so I think if the Warriors really want to try and do something to maximize Curry, give him somebody to play with. Trade Green, get Durant, and have the two of them put together whatever they can put together and let the future, worry about the future. Because as you pointed out, Steiny, just because you have a number one pick doesn't mean there's going to be anybody there to pick.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Thanks, Bill. I'm kind of with.
I hate to break it to Bill, Steiny. Dre's never going to get traded. Wherever Steph's at, Dre's going to be there. Unless
he might not ever get traded. He might not get traded. But I mean, if you want to go from point A to point B, I'll do it. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt Steph Curry is had a blast. He said he's had more fun in this 40 days than the last couple years.
He did say that.
Why?
Yeah.
You know why? Because he was playing with Draymond Green the last 2 years, and it wasn't fun. Because he was the impetus to the Warriors not having fun the last 2 years. That I agree with. Let's go to Brian in Palo Alto. What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Dynamite.
I think the best way you celebrate Steph, who is, in my opinion, the best player of this generation, and the absolute, and really outside of Jordan, the best clutch player I've ever seen in my life. It's the number of games that he's closed out, not just like game-winning shots, but just iced games in the last 3-4 minutes. Mm-hmm. In the last 10 years, it's just infinitely more than anybody else. And so I think the best way to celebrate them is by not overvaluing mediocre players like Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pozinski, right? I mean, the utter preposterousness of Pods being untouchable in a deal to get Steph some real help is just makes me say, like, Lakeup's gone full Jerry Jones Lakeup mode now, right? Where it's like, yeah, he had a run, and now he's just, hey, my sons are in the room, hey, I don't care anymore. So yeah, I think the best way you honor Steph is to, make an actual, real, concerted effort to get him a real number two, and not say Kuminga. I mean, Kuminga getting $224 million is like, literally, that'd be the worst contract I've ever seen in the NBA ever. He's not even. I mean, he's not a good player. He jumps. It's basically his one skill. And so, yeah, I'd like to see them value Steph and not overvalue guys that don't deserve overvaluing.
Hey, B, before you leave, let me ask you this. Do you really believe that the Warriors did not want to move Pods to get that deal expedited? Do you really believe that was the hang-up? I don't.
Okay, well, what would be the reason is the reason you float that to say to give yourself cover? You couldn't get him, or Utah didn't want Pods, and so now they come out and say Pods was untouchable anyways? I don't know. I don't really understand the logic around that. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Yeah, at this point, Kuminga floating that he wants $224 million. I mean, that's everything wrong with the second timeline, right? Is these guys who think they're something they aren't. Wiseman, they thought he was something he wasn't, and they held on to him too long. Kuminga probably should have moved him by now. Pods thinks he's the face of the franchise now. It's like, it's ridiculous. These guys are nothing compared to Steph Curry. Nothing. Not Curry 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and now they are nothing. That's my take. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Yeah, listen, I'm not for mortgaging the future. I'm not a big fan of having to give up future first, but I do agree with Brian that stop saying you're going big game hunting if you're really not ready to go all the way in for big game hunting. And listen, there's two different things here. One is you're dealing with the Utah Jazz, and Markkanen's available, and they want a couple firsts, and they want this, and they want that, and they wanted something you didn't want to give them. Fine. But then if you're not willing to make that last concession to get a guy you think can run with Steph Curry, then kind of stop leading people on to make them believe that we are going to do anything for Steph Curry. You can't simultaneously say we'll do everything for Steph Curry to maximize his window in the next 2 years, but yeah, we're not prepared to give up Kuminga or Podziemski. Those are two incongruous thoughts, and that's where
it didn't happen, man. But I hear you. I believe Utah didn't. They were like BPA asked me. I believe that wasn't enough for Utah.
Well, the other thing is Pods and Kuminga.
I thought Ainge was like, yeah, that ain't enough.
Well, I don't know about that.
Because to turn around and give him $227 lets me know you really love said player.
Well, maybe they didn't want to pay him $225, but they did because of the same reason the Warriors gave Poole his money, because the alternative was to have Markkanen play on a 1-year deal with just 1 year left. Maybe they still, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with Markkanen after this year? Let's go to Andre. Andre's in New Jersey. What's up, Andre? How you doing, man?
I've been doing okay, Steiny. Obviously, the Olympics was amazing to watch.
Yep.
Steph Curry proving once again that he is beyond the greatest shooter ever. I believe, mainstream media, as well as others, independent media, need to start acknowledging him as greater than that, as quite possibly the greatest scorer and shot maker ever.
I'll go there. Yeah, sure.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I haven't disagreed with you so far, Dre.
Perfect. So then you would also agree that the Warriors should have, at this point, paired Steph with a second option that could elevate his game. He's more than deserving of it. And the Olympics, if anything, were a reminder that the Warriors still to this day have an obligation to surround Steph with as much help as possible. And as you've been saying, if they were never serious about Lauri Markkanen, then they shouldn't have entered the discussions in the first place. I was a major proponent of acquiring Lauri Markkanen. I don't believe you were as much, but maybe we can find some common ground, because at the end of the day, every fan and a lot of media has a voice, and we need the Warriors front office to hear this, Joe Lacob to hear this. The deadline is the last chance. If a player is available for the right asking price, you go all in, and you do not waste this man's final window that we have, because guess what? You will never, ever, ever, and if you do, it's going to be decades until you have a window this valuable, even at the age of 36 for Steph Curry. Even at the age of 36, and you saw what he did, showing up against the likes of Nikola Jokic, who's considered the best player in the world, check. Showing up on the same court as LeBron James and Kevin Durant, Victor Wembanyama, the next coming of the NBA's face of the league, check.
Andre.
I feel like I know him.
Andre, the bottom line is this. You feel like Lacob's going halfway.
Absolutely. He's not all in, and I don't feel like he is willing to part ways with assets. With all due respect to Brandon Pajemski, and I was one of the few people that were an advocate for Pods, even during his summer league struggles last year, I was all over rooting for Pods, understanding that his impact is far beyond the stat sheet and the box score. But at the end of the day, his ceiling is a role player, and he will. It's very unlikely.
Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger.
Andre, gotta go. It's 12:26:38.
Yeah.
Andre in New Jersey calling out Joe Lacob. Hey, don't forget, all guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? River Islands in Lathrop. That segment brought to you by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. I'll get to some more calls on the other side. We got action on the lines on 95.7 The Game.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS?